From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
And welcome back to more of Fox 59 Tonight. As we like to do from time to time here on the show, introduce you to the people who put Fox 59 on the air every single day, bringing you stories. You see the faces like mine on your screen every day, but there are other people who literally put me on TV, make us look great on TV, stand out in the elements as they've done today. One of those people is Marcus Collins. He is one of our star photographers. You hear us mention sometimes Marcus, we reference the photographer's name, or occasionally Marcus pops up in front of the screen, but I want to bring Marcus in so you can find out, it is not just the people on TV who have the knowledge and the information. It's oftentimes it is the photographer, and Marcus has been that guy for so many of us. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks, man. That's a build up.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it is because when you go to a new station, the reporters are the ones that move around a lot in the grand scheme of things. The reporters and anchors, and when you go, every place that I've worked, the photographer has been somebody who's been there for 20 years, 30 years,
Yep.
and they know exactly where to go. So
Oh yeah.
it was my guy Fred Federico up in Saginaw. He knew if we're doing a story at City Hall, okay, we're gonna go here, and then you want to do your live shot from over here. And then this guy, I'll tell you where you can meet him at. Like, you guys just know so much. Like, there's so much of the story that you guys put together, but no one ever knows that.
Yeah, like when we're driving around town, we're always looking at, oh, that'd be a great place for a live shot right there. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
she needs some MOS. Oh, those folks are hanging out at the foot of the library. We can go over there. But I got what you're saying. I used to work with a guy who used to call me Yoda.
Uh-huh.
And at first I was like, Yoda, I don't sound like Yoda, but he was like, no, he goes, man, you know it all. And people were saying, if you want it, you want to know where to get it. Marcus knows where the bodies are.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Well, and I know of several photographers, reporters who all speak, of course, highly of you. You and I work together on the morning show.
Yeah.
And I know uh you've got one reporter who calls you Marcus, um, Eartha Kitt style,
Yeah.
and then you had a nickname.
Oh man. No, you didn't.
Yeah, 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 Bootsy.
Wow, man. You've been doing some digging, bro.
Well, see, I listen.
Yeah. When I was in school, I thought the route was radio,
Mm-hmm.
and and I thought be a DJ, but person who was really kicking it on the airwaves was Bootsy Collins.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in school, you could just grab a little bit of this. You're listening to Bootsy in the afternoon, or
Mm-hmm.
hey, look, we're in the late night, and Bootsy's got your mellow sounds or whatever. But yeah, it kind of stuck with a lot of my fraternity brothers and friends that I went to school with. So yeah.
uh in true DJ fashion. Pull that microphone closer to you real
Oh
quick.
sure.
How long have you been in this business and in Indianapolis? Because like I said, you know all the places. You know where the bodies are buried.
I would say easily 38 years here in this market.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Um, After I was at PBS, I came out of school and went right to PBS.
Mm-hmm.
Worked there for about 4.5 years. Then I started working. I kind of needed to get away because nothing was really working in some of the stations, and I didn't want to go too far.
Mm-hmm.
My wife at the time got pregnant. We needed more money, but I wanted to keep with my business.
Mm-hmm.
And IUPUI was looking for producer and directors for their medical television department.
Mm-hmm.
And I left PBS, Channel 20,
Mm-hmm.
went over there. I started doing a little bit of, like I said, video editing, producing, directing medical programs for the School of Medicine, School of Dentistry, nursing. I did videotapes for also forensic pathology. I did autopsies and surgeries. I saw a complete heart transplant. I've seen quads born.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen people come in this world and I've seen them go out.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of surgeries over there, and head and neck dissections and stuff. Worked in med
Mm.
science, and then I found out that which TV was hiring a production assistant. I went over there, and as I went into their production staff, they were looking for some folks to come in and work the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working full time at medical television, coming over to Wish, and I was working in their night staff.
Mm-hmm.
Had a chance to meet Debbie Knox, Mike
Mm-hmm.
Ahern, those local legends,
Mm-hmm.
Stan Wood, and then had an explosion at uh, Camp Fort Harris,
Mm-hmm.
Fort Harrison. And at that time, I had been trying to figure out a way to get into news.
Mm-hmm.
And the director at that time, he said, well, we don't need you right now. Everybody's down in news is out there doing it. But if you want to try and make some points, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran downstairs, and Lee Giles was the news director,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him I'll do whatever you need me to do. He
Mm-hmm.
said track where everybody's at,
Mm-hmm.
and I had them on the board. I had what photographer was with what reporter, and he goes, yeah, afterwards, he said, you got a pretty good knack at this. I said,
Mm-hmm.
this is something I want to do. This is something I always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 weeks later, chief photographer Steve Schweitzer called me down. He said, hey, we're starting this thing called Daybreak.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be interested? I'm like, sure, I would be.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, now you have no news experience. I said, I know. He goes, but we're willing to train you.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it took off. I worked with Dick Wolfsey every morning, Dave Barris, Pam Elliott,
Mm-hmm.
Ruth Ann Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
Randy Alice. We did a lot during those, almost 20 some odd years just in that alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had, a little parting of the ways,
Mm-hmm.
as sometimes things do. Even a good thing comes to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was looking, Ruth Ann, who is now here, called me up and said, hey, someone of your caliber, which I was impressed with, someone of your caliber we could use here.
Mm-hmm.
And in about a week, I had a job here.
And it's been nothing but Fox 59's game to have you on the morning show, especially for me because I love TV. But as I've gotten older, that 4 a.m. live shot became something I hated each day more and more. Surprisingly, I think in my time here, uh, I never missed a 4 a.m. hit. Now I'm pulled up close,
Kind of tight.
kind of tight. Sometimes I was pulling up 4 o'clock, but what I always liked about you, Marcus, you always knew here I come, had the microphone ready, boom, I do that first hit. Okay, boom, thank you, done. Now let me get myself together.
Deep breath.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew you said I'm coming.
I'm coming in hot. I'm coming
in hot. And I'm like, okay. I had it all. Wait for you in the mic. Stand right there.
And that's it's those little things that I appreciate. Like, you wouldn't hand me. You just, I need the stick mic.
Yep.
I ain't got time to wire up a microphone and all that. Like, I'm ready. I'm dialed in. Let's go. Let me get this hit. Okay, camera roll, FOX59 News. Back to you.
Exactly. We'll do the live later on. We'll do whatever else later on. But the first one, let's knock it out and do it right.
That first one. Whew.
Yeah.
Rain, snow, heat, freezing temperatures. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
But you've done it close to 4 decades.
Yeah.
What is the most memorable thing you've covered in Indianapolis?
It was a warm Friday night. For a while there, the Ku Klux Klan was running rallies in downtown Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And we were recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was like, this is a new Klan.
Mm-hmm.
We want the people to understand and get to know us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not burning crosses in your yard or anything. We want everybody to come and be welcome and understand what we're just trying to do.
And they came up to you and said this?
They were on they were on the steps of the State House.
Mm-hmm.
They were holding the press conference, and we were standing there. And I wasn't trying to be smart aleck, but I did say, so everybody's welcome. And he said, yes, sir, everybody's welcome. I said, so if I show up tonight I'm going to be let in. He said, yes. So you're cross burning tonight? Yes. Up in Stark County? Yes. And me and my reporter, 5'4", maybe 5, blonde, female. That still to this day, I still laugh about how she was really close to me. And I would say, no offense, babe, but you need to take 2 steps. Just, but we went there. We went to the clean rally. They at first did. They were like, "I'm sorry, you can't come in." He was very polite. You cannot come in. She can come in, but
So
you can't.
you guys went.
We went. We drove up to Stark County, pulled up to the gate. They're like, "You can't come in." This car pulls up real quick. Grand Dragon gets out. He said, "I told him he's welcome to come in." Guy leaned forward. He goes, "You're gonna see something that a lot of y'all never seen," and walked out on your own. I said, "Yeah, that's why he told us to come here. So we're gonna shoot it." I was working for the other station at that time, and I went ahead and I went in with this reporter. We got set up. They showed us where the cross was going to be burning. They were doing their speeches over here, and we just videotaped it like it was a news conference or like an event. And at the time, the gentleman walked over to me. He's like, "Hey, I need to borrow a battery from you." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "Do you recognize me? You remember me?" He goes, "I'm one of the photographers for that in Indianapolis, you know." And I'm like, "Sure." As we took a couple of steps away from everybody, he goes, "Marcus, what in the world are you doing here?" And I looked at him and he said, and he was an undercover for State Patrol. And he remembered me because I had done the story with Dick Wolfsey earlier.
Okay.
And he was like, all of a sudden, over the intercoms came this, there is a reporter and a photographer from Wish TV. It's a black photographer. Can we get someone down there on the field right now? So, needless to say, I was told they were there to also videotape and also take in. But if anything was to happen, he told me just hit the ground because we're also told to take out everything standing.
Wow.
And very sobering. I remember when we first got there, Channel 6 was also there. And the guy said, "Hey, everybody's welcome except this guy over here." Well, 6 then turned their cameras on me and said, "Everyone was welcome except for this one photographer from another station here in Indianapolis." Well, my dad worked for the post office. And at that time, 6 was on at 10 o'clock on Channel 4. And my mom was in the kitchen wrapping things up for the evening. And he yelled through the house, "Hey, Jackie, come look where your stupid son is at." And so, needless to say, and this was also back in the days after you came back in a certain area that your phone would start activating,
Had no service out there.
No service out there. So I had a conversation with her. I had a conversation with my wife. I had a conversation with my dad. But I told everybody, "I'm fine. It's good." It all came out good. They did light the cross, and they were saying their thing, and we went in and we left. And that's my most memorable.
Yeah.
Working for television. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be memorable.
But I would say second was when I was working with another weatherman who was also at another station now. And he basically and I followed the Ball State storm chasing team. We saw 14 tornadoes in one day, and they just dropped out of the sky around us. It was amazing. It really was. But
also highlights the danger that you are in doing these stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of them very dangerous and things you can't control in either of those situations. On the Stark County KKK story, did nobody at the station say, "Okay, she can go
afterwards"? as I stood in the news director's office and the assistant news director, and he said, I guess as we think about this, we probably shouldn't have done that. I said, well, I did ask him. He did say I would be safe. They listened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he said, let him in, and he did, was it stupid on my part? Yeah, I still think so.
Mm-hmm.
I still think so. But when you're in television, sometimes you start thinking with the you start thinking with your camera, your
Mm-hmm.
editing, your writing, the story we're going to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And because she did too, she was like going, if you're going to go, I'll go because I really want to write this because they kept calling themselves the new clan.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the situation, we should probably really put this down.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if you're willing to, I'll go with you. Let's go.
What did your wife have to say?
There were words. There were a lot of words being. We had 2 kids, I believe, at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and not being careful
Mm-hmm.
about what the jeopardy I had just put myself in,
Mm-hmm.
and she was upset,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
I would imagine. Well, what year was that?
man, I want to go 87, 88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting though that undercover officer recognized you and the heads up that he gave you.
Yep. And I was really happy with that because he said, "No, we've got somebody on your 6,
Yeah.
so you be careful."
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to go off anywhere. We both told him, staying here by the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a media compound. We
Mhm.
all were in this media
Mm-hmm.
compound,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all kinds of people they were looking for that were doing illegal things there also at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you still have a copy of that story or the story that was on Channel 6 that showed you?
I think I had the copy of 6, but I don't think it'll play anymore because it's on a beta deck. And the other story, I do not. I don't have that any longer.
That that is something that even I'd have been I was like, anybody else want to take this story? I don't know about and you know what? And I guess if I was your photographer, I mean if I was your reporter that day,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, Marcus, this ain't for us, buddy.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. The funny thing is that, and I do look back on several things. Um, being a photographer has opened up so many different doors. And you kind of go now. In any normal person take the opportunity to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, balloon rides.
Mm-hmm.
I am scared of heights.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in the blimp that comes every year for the
Mm-hmm.
500.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one that's called the Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
Is a gin sponsored dirigible, and he was like, "Hey, anybody want to ride?" And I thought, "Sure." Now I just told you I was scared of heights,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I got in this thing, and there's only room for 4 people in the back and the pilot up front.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting in the middle of this with arms on both sides. I'm trying to put myself in position.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm holding my camera now on my shoulder so I can actually hold on to this thing.
Mm-mm.
He's running this thing like a bicycle. It's like he does this, he does the pull it back.
Mm-mm.
One side turns left,
No, thank you.
one side, and then he's using foot pedals and I was like going, Marcus, why are you up in here? Because if this bad boy comes down, I'm gonna roll all the way down.
Yeah.
But I'll hit the button.
Mm.
But we tend photographers, we jump out and in the middle of fires, we get as close as we can.
Mm-hmm.
I've smelt soot in my
Mhm.
nose for 2 days after
Mhm.
a fire.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like I said, I've been in a situation where one guy uh, shot and killed his wife, ran out of bullets, left the scene while we were there at the apartment, and the cops were there. He comes walking back
Mhm.
carrying the gun. He went back to reload, and they started yelling at him to drop the gun. He goes, "I want to know, is she dead?" They said, "Yeah, you killed her. She's dead." He goes, "She dead." I said, they were like, "Yeah." He put the gun down. He laid down, and about 20 cops were on this side, and this guy was on this side. And I thought, and here we were aiming at the apartment, and I
Mhm.
thought to myself, if someone opens fire,
Mhm.
just someone opens fire,
Mhm.
everybody's cutting loose,
You in the wrong spot.
and we in the wrong spot.
Mhm.
And so I was like, again, one of those hit the button, lay down slowly. I'm just going
Uh-huh.
to put it on a wide shot. Y'all keep talking now. I'm down here.
Mhm.
But
And I think you and I mean, you and I have already been in some of those where we've had some of those conversations like, Marcus, we probably shouldn't be here.
yep.
Um,
And I
and
listen to you just as much as you listen to me. If I'm like going, be here, not staying here longer.
yeah,
So,
yes, let's get this and keep the car running
yep.
and let's roll.
Yeah.
And I think I know there was one, and I might have been with Earl, but I know there was like a shootout that we were at, where they were. It could have turned into a shootout. They were on 465. I feel like you were somewhere nearby.
I think I was further down
Yes,
shooting back at
yes,
because you and Earl had arrived and they just wanted a second camera.
yes. And that was another one of those like, you know, ain't nothing between me and this but a tree,
Exactly.
and this may not. What are we doing? And so it's you don't always think about it first. Sometimes you do, like the Ku Klux Klan thing. I'd be like, no, no, I'll take your word for it, but I will send one of my other colleagues.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes when you're just in the moment and you're thinking, and I think it happens a lot during severe weather.
Yeah.
You and I did several of those.
And you pull up and you're looking for power cables and you look and you realize, man, it's dark and it's quiet and you can't see anything. And then you start thinking, I hope these lines are
Mm-hmm.
because all you're hearing, on your phone or in your ear, hey, we got to get your shot. We want to see your
Mm-hmm.
shot. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm trying to secure my location. Can you give me a break?
Correct.
Give me a breath. I'll be there.
I think what is equally scary is when the sun comes up
Yeah,
and then you see all the things that you're like, oh, there's the power line 2 feet from me.
exactly. Yeah. Well, one time I had stopped for storm coverage. It was on Arlington Avenue. And I had just stopped. I don't know why, but it looked like a lot of damage, a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, and when the sun started coming up, I saw the power line that went straight through the yard, through the street,
Mm-hmm.
up over this house.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I remember my reporter saying, well, but it's not. I said, it's not here. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
you can hear that hum.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she goes, oh my gosh, is this still on? I said, yeah. But we stopped maybe 20 feet from that power line.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know it was still on.
Mm-hmm.
We just stopped there because I remember thinking to myself, oh, I want to get some shots of the stuff we just drove through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we stopped, or I
Mm-hmm.
would not be sitting here talking to you because once I hit that line, it would have been gone.
Well, and that's one of the things that I even started including in my live shots is telling you why I'm not moving.
Yep.
Because people, you have anchors and producers saying go shoot this and go over here and go that. And it's like I cannot see
Yes.
where I am.
Yeah.
And especially now that I'm a parent, I do think about it. I was like,
Yeah.
probably should think about because at the end of the day, the sun is going to come up,
Yep.
and I will be able to give you a better view, so I can literally see where I'm at, where I'm stepping on
Oh yeah.
when the sun comes up.
And I will say sometimes we kind of get a little quick about coverage
Mm-hmm.
to the point that um, I know I've upset several producers because they're like, well, the competition's in there, the competition's there, get in there. And when the police tell you, no, we don't want you in there because there's also some gas lines
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys, I can't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Police officer told me not to go any further.
Right.
I got news for you. I'm not going any further.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
dangerous.
at the end of the day, like you said, at the end, further in the day, and the sun's coming up. Well, I want to see that sun come up.
Hmm.
I want to see that sun set.
Yes.
I want.
I will see the sun tomorrow.
I want to see that sun tomorrow,
Yes.
and I want to see my sons tomorrow.
Hmm.
So it's like, let's, I'm not. I, the older I've gotten, I do realize that the chances are thought out quicker,
Hmm.
and I mean quicker,
Hmm.
to the
Hmm.
point of like, no,
Hmm.
hey, we have a shooting on this street. Okay, I'm on my way now.
Hmm.
Okay, the cops have gone, but can you get a shot of it? No.
Hmm.
Why not? Well, they said they didn't arrest anybody. Right.
Hmm.
The location now is no longer under police protection. Right.
Hmm.
I'm not stopping
Hmm.
because you just had a shooting. It took place at 2 in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, I'm pretty sure that the area is still a little bit unstable. I'm not going to take a chance on
Hmm.
this. And
Hmm.
I want you to understand, I'm not taking a reporter out here with me to do this. I'm not going to set myself up, turn the light on in the middle of the darkness, and give them a big target. I
Hmm.
really want you to understand, ain't going to
Hmm.
happen.
The job is dangerous. The
He said,
job is memorable. But in our last couple minutes, I want to ask, did you ever think 38 years ago that TV would be the way it is today? I mean, like now we
oh,
are doing a streaming show on a app and on the internet. Like,
yeah,
who'd have thought?
who'd have thunk it? I, I don't. I, when I look at how things are going now, also, like you said, so much is computer driven anymore. And also the way they do some of the things with the reporters themselves with MMJs.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be respectful of if that's their art, that's what they're wanting to do,
Mm-hmm.
and also try to be respectful of the television stations, because a lot of them are going that route.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the worst thing you ever do is you're taking out of the mix the camaraderie, the workmanship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are times as a reporter, you should be able to really hone in on your skills
Mm-hmm.
of writing,
Mm-hmm.
reaching in deep in that conversation. Get stuff from these people that you can't get if I'm trying to also get a shot.
Mm-hmm.
MMJs throw up the camera and they go, hey, okay, can you tell me what happened? Okay, were you home by yourself? Okay, thank you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have time. Meanwhile, if you are talking to her, you're home by yourself. Well, why? What happened? You know, pulling. Well, then she gets relaxed. She
Mm-hmm.
talks to you more. But I'm over here shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shooting the wall. I'm shooting the bullet holes. I'm shooting
Mm-hmm.
the bullet holes in the statuary out front. I'm getting shots of the neighborhood, people standing around, and everything else. And meanwhile, you really are pulling this in, pulling this in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she starts to talk to us, then she feels a little bit more relaxed
Mm-hmm.
because you just made a really nice connection
Mm-hmm.
instead of just running up light on, light off,
Right.
And
Right.
but no, also with how far we can reach out. We were watching. Now, like a good example. I'm getting ready to do these hits for our next star stations,
Mm-hmm.
um, and for the 500, and they've given me a rundown, and our rundown starts at 5 o'clock and it goes till 11 o'clock, and it's every station that is part
Next
of the
our
Next Star
owns.
family.
Mm-hmm.
From I think the first one is like somewhere in New York, then we go to Florida, and it's like just nationwide,
Mm-hmm.
all the way across the grid
Mm-hmm.
until we get to the end, and that last one will be our last hit at 11:10, eleven
Mm-hmm.
fifteen.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I think I think they said it was 53 stations or
Mm-hmm.
something, 53 that are participating in
Mm-hmm.
this, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's hits one after another. But we're able to do it because of the way technology is running.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Technology has given us some really cool things. My camera's gotten smaller. Thank you, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it's mostly in a little backpack, not even the live trucks.
used to run a lot of cable,
Mm-hmm.
taking cables up 3 and 4 floors, turning around cables, connectors in, pull it in, set it up, then roll it all back up at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It became it was
It was a
took
task.
took toll on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Marcus, we can see your work every morning on Fox 59 Morning News from 4 a.m. until 10, and then again throughout the day with the different stories that you cover. But I always enjoy working with you. So thank you for being a good partner
Thank you.
in the crimes that we were usually covering. But also, having my back, and of course, I always got yours. And it's good to have good people to work
I
with.
appreciate it very much. I
Thanks.
enjoy working with you too.
Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing your story. We're going to introduce you to more folks like Marcus who work here at the station. And so you can get to know, just how everything gets done, because the people on TV don't have all the answers. Sometimes it's people like Marcus. A lot of times it's people like Marcus telling us this is the way you should do the story or the way we should go. So, or as we've done a couple times, okay, it's time to wrap this story up and roll out. We are out of time here. We're going to roll out. We'll be back with more of Fox 59 tonight, tomorrow night at 8. I'm Cameron Riddle. Good night.